we see a group of elderly women gossiping about Su Yu's mother, who is divorced and has remarried a rich man with a son the same age as Su Yu. Su Yu lives with his father, Su Thingong. His father falls for a scam involving potatoes. Next, at a rich mansion, a couple is having dinner. The woman is Su Yu's mother. Wu Bai doesn't like Su Yu's mother, and his father, Zhang Gao, scolds him. They talk about transferring Su Yu to Wu Bai's school, but Wu Bai leaves the table. Wu Bai has a flashback. A younger version of him is with his mother, who is making a sculpture for a friend's son's birthday. She puts a dot behind the ear. Back at Su Yu's place, he tries to remove a patch from his father's back. The next day, Wu Bai is with his aunt, and he asks her for a school transfer. Su Yu is coming home from school when he meets his mother waiting for him. She tells him about the transfer, but he is not happy. At school, instead of Su Yu transferring to Wu Bai's school, it goes the other way. Wu Bai asks for a transfer to a regular school, not knowing it's Su Yu's school. Wu Bai talks with Su Yu after class break, and it's clear he holds a grudge against him. He sees Su Yu has a mole behind his ear, just like the sculpture. Next, Su Yu buys food from a street vendor, Mrs. Zhao. It is clear we will be seeing more of her. The class has a test, and they are to mark each other's papers. Wu Bai grades Su Yu's papers. He marks some of his answers as wrong. Even still, Su Yu passes. Wu Bai wants to know why Su Yu gets all the answers right, even though he sleeps in class. The teacher tells Su Yu that he corrected the incorrect scoring for him. At dinner, the same vendor comes over to Su Yu's place. She brings her daughter. Su Yu and the daughter Dudu play outside while his father and Mrs. Zhao watch. Mrs. Zhao gives Su Thingong a gift. It is new shoes. It is for Su Yu, but his father is hesitant to accept it. Su Thingong learns from Han Bokwang that Su Yu didn't order a new uniform. This is because they are poor. Su Yu wears the new shoes, but Wu Bai steps on them. At gym, this continues. But after gym, Su Yu gets back at him. Wu Bai wipes his face with a paper, getting dirt on his face. Next, Wu Bai puts glue under Su Yu's shoes. But Su Yu is smart. He asks Mao Chong, his desk mate, to go to the lab to collect some chemicals, with which he is able to unstick his shoe. Su Yu's mother talks with Wu Bai's father about him. We learn that she sends money for him, but he does not accept it. Zhang Gao suggests Su Yu come live with them. At this, Wu Bai breaks a dish. He packs his stuff and leaves. Back at Su Yu's place, his father has a dream about winning the lottery. He leaves to go buy the ticket. Later, Wu Bai hires someone to help with the move. This someone is Su Yu's father, but Wu Bai doesn't know this. Wu Bai and Su Yu's father talk until it's late. At home, Su Thingong's back hurts. The next day, Su Yu's father is back at Wu Bai's place to help him unpack. Wu Bai talks with him about his father. Wu Bai asks for his phone number, and also gives him 2 buckets of KFC. Su Yu calls over Dudu and his friend Han Bokwang to eat with them. Han Bokwang talks with Su Yu about a new transfer girl he likes. After school, Su Thingong comes to pick Su Yu up. Wu Bai learns that the mover who helped him is Su Yu's father. During school, Wu Bai spills oil on Su Yu's uniform, but he plans on getting him a new one. After school, some street thugs target Su Yu, but Wu Bai fights them. Wu Bai tries to befriend Su Yu. Su Thingong sees him. When Su Yu asks how he knows him, his father replies that he knows Wu Bai's father. Wu Bai is invited to dinner. Mrs. Zhao cooks for them. The next day, Su Yu finds Wu Bai while walking to school. Once they arrive, Mao Chong is surprised Wu Bai didn't do anything to Su Yu. Su Yu and Wu Bai talk. Since Wu Bai was able to fight off the thugs, Su Yu asks Wu Bai to teach him boxing, but they agree on wrestling. The transfer girl Han Bokwang likes brings Taiwanese jerky, but it is for Mao Chong. However, Han Bokwang thinks she did it because she likes him. Wu Bai teaches Su-yu fighting moves, but Han Bokwang thinks they are fighting and intervenes. Later, Su-yu's father sets up a sandbag for him. After class, the street thugs are back, and they brought backup. They chase Wu Bai, but he manages to hide from them. There, he sees Dudu. He escorts her home. Wu Bai calls his uncle and arranges for bodyguards. Su-yu's father goes to pick up Dudu, but finds she is not there. Su Thinggong and Mrs. Zhao think Dudu is missing. But she shows up with Wu Bai, and everything is fine. Mrs. Zhao offers Wu Bai dinner, to which he accepts. Su-yu finds that Wu Bai is in his room. He does not want Wu Bai there. At night, Su-yu has a nightmare that his father is leaving him. The next day, the group of thugs come after Su-yu and Wu Bai. They run off together. Wu Bai's bodyguards run over and beat up the thugs. Su-yu is not sure where all the bodyguards came from, and Wu Bai says it's from the school. At Su-yu's place, Dudu and a boy, Wu, are playing house. She gives him a shot, and he cries after she is gone. The boy is still crying when Su-yu and his friend Han Bokwang arrive. He is crying because it is his turn to give Dudu the shot. Su-yu and Han Bokwang try to make the little boy stop crying. It is at night, and he is still crying. Meanwhile, Wu Bai is having dinner with his two friends. He eventually leaves and goes to Mrs. Zhao's stall. She cooks noodles for him. While there, Wu's mother confronts Dudu's mother about the needle she poked his butt with. Her mother wants her to apologize, but Dudu doesn't, saying it was because Wu said she doesn't have a father. Mrs. Zhao takes Wu to a clinic, and Wu Bai takes Dudu to Su-yu's place. Su-yu explains to Wu Bai about Dudu's father. He is in jail for armed robbery, but Dudu thinks he is abroad. Wu Bai opens up to Su-yu about his mother. He talks about the sculpture and how his mother passed away before she could give it to the boy. The next day, Su-yu buys breakfast for Wu Bai from Mrs. Zhao. During gym class, a female student named Zhang Yao approaches Wu Bai. She asks him to deliver a letter to Su-yu. He does, but Su-yu asks him to return the letter. During a school break, Wu Bai overhears Su-yu talking with Zhang Yao. She thinks Su-yu rejected her because of Yi Weining, who once attended the same school but transferred away. Later, Wu Bai takes Dudu to the toy store. Instead of dolls, she wants guns. She explains that she wants to be a police officer to see her father sooner. At night, Wu Bai has dinner at Su-yu's place. During dinner, Su Thinggong receives a call from a strange number. It is for Su-yu, but he hangs up. Later, Dudu sneaks alcohol from Su-yu's father. Wu Bai is too tired to go home, so he stays the night. He shares the bed with Su-yu. Unable to sleep, Wu Bai mentions Yi Weining to Su-yu. He learns that Yi Weining had liked Su-yu, but they did not date. Meanwhile, Su Thinggong puts Dudu to bed, but she holds on to him and calls him Papa. Back with Su-yu and Wu Bai learns about Su-yu's mother. The next day, Wu Bai goes to his apartment to find that his father is already there. Zhang Gao wants Wu Bai back, but Wu Bai has no plans on returning. His father even tries to strike him, which he prevents. His father then says that he will stop giving Wu Bai money. Wu Bai sublets his apartment. He is staying in a one-bedroom apartment, but is happy about it. Wu Bai rides to school. He sees Su-yu and offers him a ride. Su-yu refuses but eventually gives in. In class, Han Bokwang sees Guo Xiero making a gift. He thinks it's for him, but it's actually for Mao Chang. At night, Su-yu's mother tries to call him, but he keeps hanging up the phone on her. Zhang Gao goes to Su-yu's school to meet with him. He tells Su-yu that his mother misses him, and that he wants him to transfer to a better school. However, Su-yu is cold to Zhang Gao. and refuses to see his mother or transfer. The bell rings, and Wu Bai sees his father at the school. At night, Su Yu and Wu Bai study together at Su Yu's place. Wu Bai asks about earlier, and Su Yu explains the situation with Zhang Gao. Wu Bai and Su Yu still do not know it's Wu Bai's father. Wu Bai suggests putting a curse on Zhang Gao's son. Just then the fan falls on his toe. Su Yu's father gets a call about a parent-teacher conference. Su Yu's mother also gets a call, but it is for Wu Bai. She learns he transferred schools without telling his father. At the conference, all the parents arrive except Wu Bai's parents. Su Yu's mother, who is arriving for Wu Bai, is late and has not arrived yet. After the conference is nearly done, Su Thinggong hurries off to the lottery station. Tia-san arrives and thinks she spotted Su Thinggong but didn't get a good look. At school, Su Yu helps Wu Bai to his desk because his foot is still healing. Mao Chong gossips with Su Yu about Wu Bai's stepmother. Su Yu becomes curious about Wu Bai's parents. He thought Wu Bai didn't have a mother. He tails Wu Bai, but Wu Bai catches on. Su Yu then asks his father about Wu Bai's dad. Meanwhile, Wu Bai has hired someone to act as his dad to fool Su Yu. Su Yu comes over and the actor plays the part, even being emotional. Guo Shiro gives Han Bokwang a gift, and he thinks it's for him, but she clarifies that it's actually for Mao Chong. Meanwhile, Zhang Gao goes to Wu Bai's place. The actor posing as Wu Bai's father tells Zhang Gao that he is his dad, leading to an argument between them. Just then, Wu Bai arrives. While Wu Bai and his father are arguing, Su Yu arrives. He learns about Wu Bai's real father. Su Yu thinks Wu Bai is trying to get close to him to hurt him because his stepfather is Wu Bai's father. Wu Bai learns that Su Yu is his stepbrother. Su Yu goes to his father for an explanation. Su Thinggong eventually tells him the truth of how he met Wu Bai. Zhang Gao does not go back home, instead he sleeps in the car near Wu Bai's place. Wu Bai goes to Su Yu's place, they argue. After class, Su Yu's mother goes to meet him but he is not happy to see her. The next day, the class has a cleanup. Everyone cleans except Wu Bai. One of the students complained to Su Yu since he is in charge of cleanup. He argues with Su Yu and they get into a fight. That night, Wu Bai goes karaokeing with his friends, but he ends up crying while singing. His friends decide to get back at Su Yu for making Wu Bai cry. At school, Su Yu receives a scholarship. His mother's visit to offer him money results in someone taking pictures of them, which are posted on the school's forum. The students gossip about it, assuming Su Yu is pretending to be poor. His teacher talks with him. He says there might be problems with his financial application. Su Yu thinks it's Wu Bai who posted the article. Wu Bai admits it's him. At class, Wu Bai sees Su Yu is not at school. After school has ended, Dudu is waiting on Wu Bai. She wants to take him home. She gives him a scarf her mother knitted for him. Dudu brings him to Su Yu's place. He talks with Su Thinggong and leaves before Su Yu sees him. Wu Bai is at home with his friends. His friends admits it was them who posted the article. He orders them to write an apology post on the school's forum. Su Yu talks with Han Bokwang. He reveals who Wu Bai is to him. Su Yu also learns that Han Bokwang is not hanging around Mao Chong because of Guo Shiro, the girl who Han Bokwang thinks likes him. Su Yu hears from Mao Chong that Wu Bai is transferring. At home, Su Yu argues with his father. He reveals the truth about Wu Bai to him. Early the next morning, Su Thinggong wakes up Su Yu. He thinks it was fate that made him met Wu Bai, and Wu Bai transferring schools. Su Yu is at Wu Bai's place. He offers him a ride on his bicycle, but Wu Bai does not accept. But Wu Bai tricks him. He tells his driver to drive up while Wu Bai stays behind. He then rides to school with Su Yu. Wu Bai brings groceries over at Su Yu's place. Su Thinggong plans on calling Mrs. Zhao to cook for them. They are celebrating the first day of 2006. Suyu, Wu Bai, and Dudu writes their wishes down and bury it near a tree. They pinky promise to open it in 10 years. Wu Bai stays over at Suyu's place. Wu Bai gets a call from someone late at night. It is revealed to be his cousin, who he calls his older brother. Two crooks break into Mrs. Zhao's house. Su Thinggong gets a call from Dudu. He and Suyu rushes over, so does Wu Bai, who is on the phone. Wu Bai fights with them and the cops are called. At school, Guo Faro finds Han Bokwang's book. She gives it to him but wants a favor in return. She wants Mao Chong's jacket. That night, Suyu tells his father to marry Mrs. Zhao, but his father doesn't want to because he is still taking care of Suyu. Next we see Guo Shero wearing Mao Chong's coat. At school, Suyu invites Han Bokwang to his father's wedding feast. His father is getting married to Mrs. Zhao. That night, friends are at Su Thinggong's place. They are having fun at the feast. That night, when everyone is asleep, Dudu digs up the box and removes her wish. She puts a new one in. While Suyu is studying, Mrs. Zhao gives him a new phone that his father bought. He is hesitant at first to accept it, but eventually gives in. After school, Suyu's mother comes to talk to him. She wants him to move in with her, but Wu Bai interrupts her. He says Suyu will move in with him. While they walk, Wu Bai tells him that he rented the house next to Suyu. Suyu, Wu Bai, and Su Thinggong move Suyu's stuff over to the other house. The next day, Mao Chong arrives at school with a perm hair and all the girls swoon after him. Next, Mao Chong is scolded by a teacher for his perm hair. While leaving school, Mao Chong sees a girl also with perm hair. The girl is Guo Shero. He is annoyed because he doesn't like her. After school, Suyu and Wu Bai does homework together. At home, Daodo plays hide-and-seek with Wu but she can't find him. She gives up but Wu doesn't come out. Late at night, Wu's mother comes over. She tells them that he has not returned home. Meanwhile, Wu Bai goes to bed to find little Wu hiding in his closet. The next day, while Suyu showers, Wu Bai answers his phone. It is a girl. He tells her Suyu is busy. Suyu and Wu Bai plans on playing basketball but they don't have a ball. Suyu tells Wu Bai that his friend Han Bokwang has one. Wu Bai goes to the friend's place. He jumps over the wall to get there. Han Bokwang's father sees this and wants Han Bokwang to be more like Wu Bai by jumping over the wall. Suyu's mother arrives at Wu Bai's apartment. She arrives with groceries to cook for him, but it is the place at the International Trade Department. She sees the place is empty. Wu Bai is with his cousin that came from overseas. Wu Bai explains his situation to him. At school, Yu Weining comes to visit Suyu. He introduces her to Wu Bai. During class, Wu Bai learns that Yi Weining is the girl his cousin is dating. Suyu, Wu Bai, and Yi Weining go out to eat together. They talk and she says she has not dated anyone overseas. Later, Wu Bai talks with Suyu about Yi Weining. He does not reveal the truth about her and doesn't want Suyu dating her. Mo Yi goes to Suyu and Wu Bai's shared place. He meets Suyu. It is clear Mo Yi does not like him. Wu Bai comes back and tries to get Mo Yi to leave. He does not want him talking with Suyu. During class, Suyu and Wu Bai text each other. Suyu tells Wu Bai that Yi Weining had asked him out. Next, Suyu is out with Yi Weining. Wu Bai sends 2 men to spy on them. The men fight Suyu. They plan on telling Wu Bai that Suyu is the one pursuing Yi Weining. At their place, Suyu packs his stuff. He knows Wu Bai sent those men. Wu Bai tries to stop him from leaving, but he leaves anyways. At a club, Wu Bai is introduced to Yi Weining by Mo Yi. They pretend to not know each other. Yi Weining begs Wu Bai not to tell Suyu about her dating Mo Yi. Wu Bai agrees, but only if she leaves Suyu alone. Su Yu is staying at Jinyuanda guest house. He is worried that his father would see his injuries. Yi Weining finds him. She had been looking for him all over. She starts to get a fever and stays over at Su Yu's place. Meanwhile, Wu Bai is looking for Su Yu. In the morning, Su Yu sees Wu Bai sleeping outside the door. Wu Bai then sees Yi Weining on Su Yu's bed. He gets angry and storms off. Yi Weining then lies to Su Yu. She tells him that Wu Bai likes her and that he threatened her. Yi Weining meets with Wu Bai. She tells him it was a coincidence she found Su Yu. Just then, Su Yu gets a text message from Yi Weining. Yi Weining tricks Wu Bai into being physically close to her. Su Yu sees this and gets the wrong idea. Wu Bai reveals that Yi Weining is dating his cousin, to which she denies. Story to be continued.